Hi and welcome back to this week's lesson from the swimming teacher. I hope your children enjoyed last week's activities. Hey, let me know in the comment section below how they got on. Were they able to hold their goggles on for the whole time? Were they able to put their faces in the water for 3 or 5 seconds? I'd really like to know how your children are progressing during these videos. If you have any questions or need any further tips, please feel free to ask me anything. At the end of last week's lesson, I told you that we were going to be talking about bubbles. Now, bubbles with children can either come out of their mouths or their noses. I always try and teach a child to blow bubbles out of their mouth because obviously it's a bit more visible for them to be able to see. So this week we are going to be talking about blowing bubbles out of your mouth. However, when a lot of people tend to swim, they do tend to inhale through their mouths and exhale through their noses. Although we are going to teach this to our children, we might just start with bubbles through the mouth first. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Carryn and I've been a swimming teacher for over 15 years. During lockdown, I've been trying to get my techniques online, so I've been coming up with ways to adapt them so they can be practiced at home and without the use of the swimming pool. So, without further ado, let's dive right into this week's lesson, how to blow bubbles out of your mouths. Last week, we were teaching our children how to wear goggles and put their faces in the water whilst holding their breath. If you missed that video, I'm going to put a link in the card above as well as in the description below. The first activity we are going to do this week is called blowing bubbles. We're going to do this in our trusty Tupperware. Today, I am going to be using a medium-sized Tupperware. Now, you can do this activity with or without goggles on. I would say to try and encourage your children to wear goggles during this activity, because now that we've already got them having their goggles on, we might as well build on this skill and add in the bubbles. So I am going to put my goggles on. Your children are now very good at breathing in, holding their breath, and breathing out. You should be at the point where you only have to say inhale and exhale. The first activity is, of course, blowing bubbles in our Tupperware. We are going to get our children to inhale, exhale, but this time, not just out in front of them, they're going to exhale into the tub of water. Remember, demonstrate this activity a couple of times first before you ask your child to do so. Remember to use clear and concise language. Breathe in, breathe out, bubbles in the tub. It should look something like this. Notice how when I put my mouth in the water, I was keeping my nose just above. This is because we want to try and teach our children to blow the bubbles first before we get them to put their eyes and their nose in the water. It's all about building confidence from the bottom up. So again, get them to inhale and blow bubbles in the tub. You can get them to do this for a minimum of 3 seconds. And of course, if your children were really good at holding their breath, try and get them to breathe out for 5 or even 10 seconds. I sometimes like to encourage children to make really funny noises because it just makes this activity a little bit more fun. So remember, activity 1, breathing in, bubbles in the water. The next activity we are going to do is fully submerging our eyes, nose, and mouths in the water and blowing bubbles. Remember, again, to practice this activity a few times in front of your child before you get them to do it themselves. It's very good for you to be able to demonstrate these activities because it does make your child feel like you are doing it with them. And also, if you are not very confident in the water yourself, you too can learn along with your child how to hold your breath and get more confident at putting your face in the water. So I'm going to put our goggles on. Remember, when you put your goggles on, they must go over your head, down, resting comfortably on your nose, and they must sit just above the ear line. If your goggles are on a little bit too tight, you can adjust them using the straps on either side of the goggles. So the second activity is going to be submerging my full face. I'm going to move a little bit back so that you can see, and I'm going to get my glass bowl of water. I'm going to be blowing bubbles for between 5 and 10 seconds. So I'm going to take a really deep breath in. noticed that when my face was in the water, I fully submerged my goggles, nose, and mouth before I started blowing the bubbles. It's important to not start exhaling until your face is completely in the water. Also, you want to make sure that you exhale fully before you come up, so that all you want to do is take another breath. So you inhale, look down, exhale fully for between 3, 5, or 10 seconds, come up, take another breath straight away. What you want to try and avoid your children doing is blowing out once their face comes out of the water. You want them to do all the exhaling in the water. So again, if they come up and they find that only 3 seconds of blowing bubbles is too easy, try to encourage them to do it for a little bit longer. Let them know that they need to get rid of all the air in their mouth. So they want to have the opposite effect of hamster cheeks. No hamster cheeks. Gone. Make it a game and make these things fun. So the way I'm explaining it to you is a great way to try and explain it to your child as well. Or even get your children to watch these videos along with you so they know exactly what they need to do. So remember, activity 1, putting your goggles on and blowing bubbles in your Tupperware of water, or even if you are practicing these activities in the bath, you can do that then. And activity number 2, fully submerging your eyes, nose, and mouth whilst wearing goggles and exhaling your bubbles fully through your mouth. Practice these activities 5 to 10 times every day this week so that you are ready for next week's activity, which is going to be blowing bubbles out of our noses. This is a little bit more complicated, but I hope you guys are going to be up for the challenge. Thank you for joining me for this week's lesson. I hope you guys really find value in these videos. If you are interested in videos like this, hey, just consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like this video, of course, push the like button. Share it with your family and friends because, as you know, I think it's so important that children learn how to swim, and not just while they're in a swimming pool. Of course, it's always good to try and practice activities at home to build your confidence. The longer you do these activities for, when those pools reopen, they're gonna get in the water and they are gonna swim like fishes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye!